Kendo techniques are basically classified into offensive moves, shikakewaza, and defensive moves with counter-attacks, ojiwaza. Let's study datotsu and shikakewaza based on the correct posture, stroke, footwork, interval and timing covered in the previous video. It's essential to first master the right way of striking your opponent and receiving his blows. The targets of datotsu are men, kote and do. The throat or nodo is the target of tsuki. Let's study how to strike each target. Take the men first. Shomen is the top and front. Other targets are hidari men, above the left temple, and migi men, above the right temple. The kote is usually struck on the kote buton, the mitt of the right hand. However, if your opponent adopts an irregular posture, his hidari kote, or left wrist, can also be struck. Striking at the do. The targets are migi do, the right side of the body, and hidari do, the left side of the body. Tsuki, the thrust. Here the target is the throat or nodo. However, when your opponent takes the jodan posture or uses nito, two swords, his chest also becomes the target of tsuki. The datotsubu is the top third of the shinai, away from the tsuru. Practice wooden swords called bokuto are used for uchigomi geiko, or striking exercises. Never actually strike anyone or anything with the bokuto. It's particularly important for beginners to use bokuto to practice striking by simulating the exact points of the targets on the men, kote and do. Shomen uchi, or the frontal strike. With your right leg leading, move forward with suriashi, swing the shinai in a large arc and make an accurate strike. Hidari men and migi men are similar movements. One of the most common techniques today is shomen uchi using fumikomi-ashi. Master the feeling and timing so you can strike the moment your right foot touches the floor. This will enable you to synchronize your determination to strike, your body movements and the sword. This synchronization is called kiken taichi. Here are some common beginner's mistakes. The left leg is way up in the air. Here the right leg is too high, and the left leg is raised after striking. This time, the left leg is twisted and drags along the floor. The correct way is to bring the left foot sharply down and draw it up to your right heel. Always be mentally and physically prepared after attacking to cope with any counterattack. This preparedness is called zanshin. Assume the required posture to respond to any counterattack. When striking the kote, aim for the kote buton of the right hand, the mitt. Striking the fist of your opponent does not count as datotsu. When striking the do, aim the blade of your shinai in the correct direction. Strike migi do by stepping in. Your left fist and the kensen should remain at waist height. When performing tsuki, thrust at your opponent's throat by stepping forward from your right leg, while squeezing both fists inward and extending your arms out straight. Right after your thrust, draw back your shinai and assume Chudan no Kamae with Zanshin, preparedness to respond to a counterattack from your opponent. It's broadly accepted that the tsuki technique should be taught to juveniles and beginners as late as possible, so as to place a higher priority on development of other techniques and on safety. You should consider this when you instruct other people. The person who receives practice strikes from a partner is called the motodachi. Acting properly as motodachi is not only essential to help your partner develop various techniques, it's also important for mutual practice. When receiving a strike on the men, lower your shinai to the right off guard, keeping your chin down. This makes it easy for your partner to strike your men. Always begin with the correct Chudan no Kamae posture before taking your shinai off guard, and give your partner plenty of opportunity for datotsu while moving back and forth. This is the correct way to receive a strike on the kote. Notice that the motodachi raises the kensen of his shinai to be off guard. Have your partner strike your kote as if you're inviting him to strike. This is the correct way to receive a strike on the door. Raise your arms. Move slightly forward to let your partner strike your door. In some cases, let your partner strike your door by exposing your body off guard. Use this way when teaching the fundamental techniques of striking the door. The correct way to receive tsuki is to lower your kensen to one side off guard. The moment your partner thrusts at your throat, you must keep your chin down, clench your back teeth, and hold in your stomach. Learning the correct way to parry or ward off attacks helps develop the basis of ojiwaza, as well as effective methods of instruction. Therefore, these techniques should be thoroughly practiced. This is the way to parry a strike to the shomen. Use the right or left side of your shinai as a block while moving slightly forward. Parry strikes to the hidari men and migi men by directing your opponent's blow above your left or right shoulder. This is the way to parry the attack of your opponent by striking his shinai downward. Parry strikes to the kote by moving your right fist forward and to the right while squeezing slightly inward. This technique is the basis of kote suriage waza. Parrying with your left side of your shinai by slightly raising your hands leads to the kote oji kaeshi waza. This is the way to parry strikes to the door. This technique leads to the door uchiotoshi waza. There are two correct and sure ways to fend off the datotsu of your opponent, by using your shinai or by moving your body. Correct and sure ways to fend off the datotsu of your opponent, by using your shinai or by moving your body. Whichever way you choose, judge the direction and speed of your opponent's datotsu. This develops nukiwaza, the ability to evade and counterattack in one movement. Kirikaeshi is the integrated practice method for combining frontal, left and right strikes at the men in a continuous movement. This practice method is also called uchikaeshi and is important for advanced students and beginners alike. Begin with a frontal men's strike, then 4 continuous strikes to the left and right while moving forward, and another 5 while moving backwards. Finish with a frontal men's strike from the Chudan no Kamae after taking the required ma. Make the left and right strikes at an angle of about 45 degrees, beginning with a strike to the left. Finish with a frontal men's strike after taking sufficient ma. Then repeat the exercise. It's important for beginners to practice correctly with slow and exaggerated movements rather than with speed. Always end with a strike to the left of the men. Here are some common beginner's mistakes when practicing kirikaeshi. The left fist is not high enough above the head. Most of the time, no contact is being made with the men. What's wrong here is the use of ayumiashi. The left fist is also out of line with the center of the body when he makes the frontal men's strike. This is the correct way to do kirikaeshi. Keep your left fist level with the pit of your stomach when you strike down. Don't tense up your shoulders. Don't move your body up and down more than necessary. Practice kirikaeshi with your spirit, holding your breath as long as you can. Be sure to maintain the correct form of stroke. Kirikaeshi helps develop the right posture, stroke, footwork, interval and timing, as well as breathing. You'll also be able to build a strong body and spirit. Eventually, you'll achieve Kikentai Ichi no Datotsu, full synchronization of movement when striking. The motodachi should move back and forth during kirikaeshi while receiving his partner's strokes. For a beginner, provide a receptive pose, so he'll find it easier to strike you. For an advanced partner, strike his shinai downwards. Place your left fist at the height of your waist. Be sure that your fists are not too high. The motodachi must ensure that his partner's left fist is raised above his head. Also check the angle of his strikes. It should be about 45 degrees. Furthermore, check the position of his left fist and shinai when he delivers his frontal men's strike. Here, the left fist is too low and he's too close. Therefore, he's striking the metal ribs of the men. This time, the left fist is too high and he's striking the men in the wrong manner. Point out to your partner the mistakes beginners tend to make and teach him the correct technique. A good motodachi greatly helps improve the techniques of his partner. Therefore, it's strongly recommended you thoroughly practice the receiving technique. No matter how good your striking technique, datotsu without zanshin doesn't count. It's therefore important to instruct beginners to assume zanshin when practicing fundamental strokes. Kendo is vigorous hand-to-hand combat with offensive and defensive moves. Let's see how to apply the fundamental techniques you've already learned. Combat techniques are classified as shikakewaza, attacking moves, or ojiwaza, parry and counterattack. The basis of shikakewaza is ippon-uchi, the single stroke. Strike the men from isoku ito no mae using fumikomi ashi. Then adopt zanshin. Strike sharply and directly at the kote of your opponent from toi mae using fumikomi ashi. Don't focus only on your opponent's kote, but watch his whole body. Be sure to strike with the correct posture. The moment your opponent raises his arms, strike his do with a large stride. When striking, direct the blade of your shinai at the do. This is tsuki. Thrust not only by extending your arms, but also by using your whole body. Immediately after your thrust, draw back your shinai and return to the chudan posture with zanshin. This is haraiwaza. When your opponent is on guard, you're unable to attack. Unbalance his posture by brushing off his shinai to the side or striking it downward diagonally. You'll then have an opportunity to strike. This is harai men. The left side of your shinai is called omote, the face, and the right side ura, or rear. When you make a harai men strike, diagonally brush your opponent's shinai upward and then deliver a blow. This is harai gote. Make a sharp strike with a snap of your wrist. The haraiwaza consists of a series of actions, starting from brushing off your opponent's shinai, swinging overhead, and then striking down. This is the harai men strike that's delivered when your opponent's kensen is held low. Brush his shinai downward and then deliver the blow. When you strike your opponent, he concentrates on the point you've stricken, leaving him off guard elsewhere. Catching your opponent off guard enables you to deliver continuous strikes to other unguarded targets. This type of attack is known as the nidan, two-step, or sandan, three-step continuous technique. This is kote men, a blow to the kote, followed by one to the men. When you're a beginner, practice continuous and accurate strikes at both targets. This is kote do, a strike to the kote, followed by one to the do. This is men-do. Strike the do after a firm blow to the men. The moment your opponent attempts to guard his men by raising his arms, instantly change your target to his do. This is the men tayatari hikido. After a frontal men strike, make a bodily crash and instantly strike the do while stepping backward with your left leg. This is men-men, a frontal men strike instantly followed by another men strike while stepping forward. Men tayatari hiki men. After delivering a frontal men strike, make a bodily crash and instantly strike the men while stepping back with your left leg. Let's look at some three-step techniques. This is kote men men. This is kote men do. Kote men tayatari hiki do. Make a body crash after a kote men strike and instantly strike the do while stepping backward. Debana waza is the technique of attacking at the start. Strike the moment your opponent begins to step forward or attack. Debana men. Quickly step in and strike the men the moment your opponent lowers his kensen to deliver an attack. This is debana gote. Strike the kote the moment your opponent moves his hands to attack. It's essential to deliver each of these strokes resolutely in a high frame of spirit. Tsubazeriai is close contact with both opponents pushing each other with the tsuba. Lower your hands, hold in your stomach, and keep your upper body straight. Never use it as a delaying or spoiling tactic, but to create positive opportunities for attack. Let's study the hikiwaza, techniques of attack while stepping backward. This is hikimen. Hikigote. And hikido. Let's first study hikimen. Strike down on the men with a large overhead swing of your shinai while moving backward the moment your opponent lowers his arms. Make sure beginners use the correct footwork when practicing this technique. Hikigote. First, push your opponent's hands down to the left and strike his kote when he tries to lift his arms. When performing Hikido, don't bend forward your upper part of your body when you strike the do of your opponent. Don't strike with the side of your shinai, but turn your hands. This is Tayatari, the body crash. Use your body momentum after delivering a stroke and unbalance your opponent to create an opportunity to follow up your attack. Never lower your head during Tayatari. When you receive a Tayatari attack from your opponent, step forward and make a counter crash. It's also important to defend yourself with your left heel raised. This is Hikimen following Tayatari. This is Hikido following Tayatari. When your opponent steps backward as a result of your Tayatari, step forward and then strike. In other words, make Tayatari, step forward, and then strike the men. This is Tayatari Zenshin Do. After Tayatari, strike at the do while stepping forward. You've seen the correct ways of striking and various shikake waza. It's essential to practice these waza using large movements to learn the correct manner of performing them. It should also be remembered that practice to improve your fundamental skills greatly enhances the development and improvement of the required techniques. Kendo instructions emphasize the importance of always taking the initiative for the attack. Practitioners of Kendo must thus try to develop their techniques and train their spirit for aggressive attack. Again, it's extremely important to practice Kendo techniques with particular emphasis on aggressive offensive techniques, no matter how hard they may be.